Let's take a moment here and look into Daniel the prophet. Let's put on our seatbelts. Here we go. Daniel 7. 4 beasts come out of the earth. A lion, a bear, a leopard with 4 heads, and a dragon with 10 horns, and one little horn beginning to grow up. And that horn became different than the others, came up after the others, plucked up 3 of the first horns, had eyes like the eyes of a man, a mouth that spoke blasphemies, and persecuted the saints of God for over 1,260 years. It's likened to the head of gold of Daniel 2, Babylon. The lion was Babylon. The chests and arms of silver was Medo-Persia. The bear was Medo-Persia. Belly and thighs of brass was Greece. The 4-headed leopard is Greece. The legs of iron with the 10 toes. The beast of iron, that dragon with 10 horns, represented Rome. And out of the 10 horns came a little horn. And this is what your Bible says Antichrist, the historical Antichrist, was and is. Verse 8. I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among the 10 horns another little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots. And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, a mouth speaking great blasphemies. And of the 10 horns that were in his head, and the other which came up after, whom before 3 fell, even of that horn that had eyes and a mouth that spoke great things, whose look was more stout than his fellows, I beheld that same little horn, and he made war with the saints and prevailed against them. And the 10 horns of this kingdom of Rome are 10 kings or nations that shall arise from Rome. And another little horn, and another little nation shall rise after them, shall be diverse from the first. And he shall subdue 3 kings. He shall speak great words against the Most High. He shall wear out the saints of the Most High for times and a half a time. He shall think to change times and laws. Brothers and sisters, of this little horn, the Bible keeps on reading in chapter 8 that this little horn, when Gabriel the angel came to explain the vision, he basically said there was a he-goat with a big horn between his eyes, a ram with 2 horns, and that he-goat came to the ram and killed it. The prophet said, what does this mean? And the angel told him, that ram with 2 horns, one bigger than the other, is Medo-Persia. That goat is Greece. That big horn between its eyes is the first king of Greece. Did you know that Alexander the Great conquered the world by the age of 30? 30. What were you doing when you were 30? He conquered the world. That night, right, knocking on the door of China and India and Nepal, he conquered all the known world, from Europe all the way to Nepal and India and China. Knocking on those doors, he drank that evening 3 times the cup of Hercules. Each cup had 5 gallons. Who you know can survive drinking 15 gallons of hard liquor? He died the next day. And his kingdom was divided in 4. And here they are, the 4 horns: Cassander, Lysimachus, Ptolemy, and Seleucus. And they took different parts of the kingdom of Greece. Cassander, Lysimachus, Seleucus, they took different parts, and Ptolemy down in Egypt. And then out of the horn, out of one of the winds, comes this horn, this another little horn, to the south, to the east, to the promised land. It's exactly a straight line coming from Rome. Babylon, Medo-Persia, Greece, Rome. Daniel 2, Daniel 7, Daniel 8, the exact same thing. And this little horn magnifies himself above the prince of the host, takes away the daily sacrifice, takes away the truth of the sanctuary, stamps on it, prospers while he's doing this. It's talking about that pagan Roman Empire that gave way to the papal Roman Empire. We're not talking about Catholic people. God has more people of his people in the Catholic Church than any other church. Come out of her, my people. But we're talking about the system, the papacy specifically. That entity that took the vacuum that both Constantine and Justinian I left when they moved to eastern Constantinople, and left that vacuum, that space there, that the Bishop of Rome filled up and became not just a spiritual leader, but also the new Caesar. And this amalgamation of church and state is part of the many identifying marks of this little horn that Daniel talks about in the historical imposture. It comes up among the 10 horns, must be a European power. It's a small horn, it's a nation. You can Google when you get home, or Siri or Alexa, what's the smallest nation in the world? It must come after the 10 horns. We know that Romulus Augustulus was the last Caesar of Rome in the year 476. The Huns with Attila and Anglo-Saxons, the Franks, the Alemanni, these barbaric tribes of the Visigoths, the Ostrogoths, the Heruli. They came from different parts of the north and the east, and they settled in that Gallic region that we know today as Franks or France, Alemanni, Germans, Anglo-Saxons, the United Kingdom, and so forth. And we know that there was a nation that came up after them. And this was basically called Vaticanus, the Vatican. And with their leader, they uprooted the Vandals, the Heruli, and the Ostrogoths. This is an incredible story that we can get into in another moment, but this horn has eyes at the eyes of a man with one visible leader. He dies and another one takes his place. He dies and another one takes his place. This is a political power that is more stout. It looks a little different than the other nations because it's a union of church and state. It has churches in every corner, but they also have embassies like a nation. Its leader can speak at the UN as a head of state because they have their own monetary unit, they have their own country, it's a nation called Vatican. Of course, they ruled from the year 538 when the Bishop of Rome began to occupy Western civilization of the Roman Empire. And 1260 years later, when Napoleon sends Berthier and they take Pope Pius VI captive, he dies a year later, and for 132 years, there is no Vatican. Until Benito Mussolini in 1929, he gives the Vatican back to the Church of Rome, healing the wound. And now, since 1929 onward, we have seen how the whole world has wondered after this entity. He sits in the temple of God, making himself to be God, and thought to change times and laws. One thing that it says over and over again, this little horn speaks blasphemies